Can't believe that didn't work. This is going to be really awkward. Hey Bill, it's Shaun here, the guy who wins all your trophies at Auckland. Look, there's a big problem. You know that registration issue I brought up a few times?
Mm.
Yeah, I've tried everything to fix it, and I can't. I even paid some outside outfit like $15 for something called a in-game editor. I'm not sure what it was supposed to do for our registration, but I thought it might help. It didn't. So look, if I can't manage the team in the A League, I think I might need to resign.
Oh, I thought you were enjoying winning with us?
Yeah, no, Bill, I would really like to stay, but it's kind of been taken out of my hands by outside influences. It's not you, it's me.
Are we breaking up?
Yeah, I kind of am breaking up with you, yeah. Sorry, Bill. It's just not going to work out if I can't actually manage these new players during the season.
I'm disappointed, but I guess I understand.
But, if it gets fixed, I'm more than happy to return. I can be the saviour.
Really?
If that's what you want.
Oh, goody.
Does that sound okay, Bill?
It will do.
Don't cry. Just remember the good times we've had.
I don't want to cry, but I like winning.
Make your own montage. I'm not good enough to do that for you. But yeah, I can come back once the issue's been fixed. Maybe. If I don't find a better club.
Okay then.
Okay. Sorry, Bill. I'll pack my stuff and go then.
I guess so.
Yeah, good luck finding your manager.
Okay.
Yeah, especially one who can win trophies and fix the club financial damage, because I helped you out there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
No, it's been great, Bill. It's been great. Yeah.
There's a party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 38 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with the All Whites. And that will be it soon, because today we are leaving AFC Auckland because of the registration bug. Won't even ask you to leave a thumbs up on this episode, because honestly I'm a little PO'd about it, but unfortunately the registration bug is going to make this too hard, even with the in-game editor, as you can see, that I have purchased over in the top right corner. Still doesn't really make it doable in a way that I feel comfortable with. So today we are going to leave AFC Auckland. So I'm going to run through what I've tried to fix in the save, and also the transfers that we did make, and also do a recap of the two friendlies that we did play with the All Whites during the off-season. But we are leaving AFC Auckland come the end of today's episode to go down to the New Zealand National League and join a team who is in desperate need of a trophy-winning manager down there. So we'll see how things go during the course of today's episode. Won't be much action, won't be a long one, will just be a bit of me talking. So this bug did come up earlier in the week off the back of the winter update coming through. It is a bug that does apply to custom databases and leagues. That's the reason it has hit us. And unfortunately, I was actually going to play the APL Cup in today's episode and then leave. But because of this, I can't even do that before I try and register my squad. And that is the problem. This one right here is the big one. A minimum of 10 players trained in Australia for 3 years before their 21st birthday. As I said earlier in the week, all the players lost their homegrown status. We'll just show that here on the screen. And to be fair, one of the main issues that's leading me to leave AFC Auckland is that is also the case for every other team in the A-League. So it does mean that they'll also have to register quite a few less players than they otherwise would. So in the end, it's not going to be much fun trying to play in the A-League with a squad of only 15 players, because you need to remove the 10 spots that were for those homegrown nation ones. So we are going to make our way down to the National League. One thing that we could have done is leave open something on the in-game editor. I'll just go here to the registration page. There you can see the 15 players that we were going to register. If we got one more in, like our new left back here from Eastern Suburbs in Adam Supik, that means that we can't actually register our squad. So we would have only been able to go with 15 players into this new season. To be fair, some of our players are still under 19, so don't need to be registered. So it might not have been too bad. And also, I could have ticked this up here where I am able to allow squad registration at any time. So it could have been if a player got injured, could have called someone else in at any time, not just in the registration window. But I'm not too sure if that would have applied to the other AI teams, and that would have made things really, really messy. So unfortunately, the registration bug, it does mean that we are going to leave AFC Auckland, which is a shame too, because it is a custom club that we built up from the ground. 3 titles in 4 years, and also did help us get the All Whites to a decent level as well. We are ranked around the 70 mark. We'll cap off those results shortly once we do get through some other AFC Auckland stuff, but unfortunately the bugs got us and we are going down to the National League. Before we do leave AFC Auckland, I'll just go through the transfers that we did make going in to this new season. You can see a couple of loans out in progress, Bruce Izumi as well as Matthew Falk. It's quite a few of our players who are under 19 in previous years. They have just gone over that age, so that made things even more tricky in terms of squad registration. Also, a couple of youngsters there that have made their way out of the club since we ticked over into the new season. Most of our transfers did actually happen before that season did tick over. Didn't bring too much in terms of new signings, but did let go of a couple of players too, in particular Nathan Lobo. He went to the Wellington Phoenix for £325,000. I thought that was a very good bid from those guys, right near the top of his value even after he's joined them. And while he was here, that top value was around £250,000. So he has made his way to the Phoenix, sending one of our originals off to the Phoenix after we signed him for 12k. That is a nice bit of transfer profit, especially because the player that we bought in his place was actually better in terms of attributes and only cost us £7,000, and that is Adam Supik from Eastern Suburbs. In terms of star rating, currently doesn't look too hot, but potential a bit higher than Lobo, and attribute-wise a bit better as well. But unfortunately, not going to see how that would have worked out. And also, another good bit of transfer business that we did do to replace Jorge Fernandez, as I suggested towards the end of yesterday's episode, we did complete the quadruple. If you missed that one, it's actually now included our last games with AFC Auckland. So if you missed it, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But Fernandez, he went over to Saudi Arabia for £900,000. It's not that great considering his value these days. Very similar to the Ronaldo transfer that we did earlier this week as well. But £900,000 for a player who does have caps for Georgia, so he probably wouldn't have featured for the All Whites in the future anyway. And we've replaced him with a pretty similar player, at least in terms of overall attributes, and for a much lower fee, and Luis Gomez, a Portuguese winger, for £23,000, which looks like an absolute bargain these days, valued between £600,000 and £800,000. And the fact he's from Portugal, no youth caps, should be no danger at all of him being poached by the Portuguese national team before he does play for the All Whites, especially seeing as those guys did win the World Cup. So 2 wins there on the cheap. So we actually tried to help out the club finances going into the season. Also signed a youngster on a free transfer out of Argentina, a centre-back in German Stariko. He looks fairly promising. Hopefully will stay there long enough to also qualify for the All Whites. But those are the only transfers that we did do, and the only ones that we made out in terms of big names from the first team. And we also made another big signing over the course of the off-season. It was a $6 million loan from the bank, so it did mean the finances here weren't actually that bad going to this season, albeit the debt not too great. If we go over and have a look at that, yeah, that's still not good. That's one thing I'm certainly not going to miss here from AFC Auckland. But yeah, that's the transfers that we did do going into the new season. So not too many new ones. And of course, Alex Paulson making his way back to the club after that weird sale to FC Dallas last season when they released him. That might have actually been caused by the registration bug as well. But yeah, can't get past the screen. So this is where we're going to leave things with AFC Auckland. But before we do resign and leave the club and then see maybe if there's a good job this early in the New Zealand National League, we'll go over and have a look at the New Zealand national team schedule, because of course I'm still going to be the manager of these guys while on the lookout for a job in the National League. And we did play 2 friendlies with them in the most recent international window while I was getting through those transfers. First off, we took on Uzbekistan, starting off to a nice start here in the first half. Marko Stamanek there from a corner. Interesting to see him get up considering no Chris Wood these days after he has retired, but got a good start there, going 1-0 up. But then with 20 minutes left, Uzbekistan hit us there, and Joshimov puts that away to make it 1-1. But thankfully, as we made our way into the last 10 minutes and went a bit more attacking, we did hit them on the counter-attack. Josh Pickering picks up his first goal in an all-white shirt set up by Keat from AFC Auckland. And then late on, just put a boat on the result. Sloan Rodriguez off the bench makes his way down this left-hand side, and Keat will pick up a goal to go alongside his assist. Some good impact there from the young AFC Auckland central attacking midfielder. Unfortunately, don't know if we would have actually been able to register him if we did go ahead with only 15 players for this season, but we picked up a 3-1 win there over the White Wolves, who are ranked just below us in 70th in the world. And a few days off the back of that, we then took on Syria, and to be fair, in this game, we just got off to a horrific start, and it did cost us. There you can see some good short passing. They beat Alex Paulson there at the near post through Ramadan to make it 1-0, and shortly off the back of that, we concede from a set piece 2-0. Again, I think that was Ramadan with the goal, and then on the 20-minute mark, before really I could adjust anything, they score an own goal. Tui Loma just knocks that one past Paulson to make it 3-0. So from there, always going to be tough, albeit George McDonald here, EI goal from the penalty spot with 10 minutes left in the first half to make it 3-1, and then 10 minutes into the second half, felt like we potentially hit a way back into this game. Keatley with a shot block, but Sloan Rodriguez fortunate to put that away. But unfortunately, despite the fact that off the back of that, we were certainly the team who were on the front foot, just couldn't quite grab an equaliser, and we do suffer a 3-2 defeat to Syria, and those guys are ranked up in 59th. So to be fair, tougher opposition than that first team that we did play in the White Wolves. The Croissant Eagles is how you might pronounce that nickname. Some crackers there of those two teams that we did just play, but unfortunately it means in terms of us, we are still ranked equal 67th in the world, so still not bad off there with the All Whites, but unfortunately couldn't back up that win over Uzbekistan with a result against Syria, which I felt like we maybe deserved, especially based on our second half performance. Could have got something out of that game. But yeah, equal 67th there, a bit of a mixed window, albeit not too bad considering that's our first window without Chris Wood, albeit George McDonald certainly a very, very good replacement. But that's what's happened off the back of yesterday's episode, and the only two games I've played with the All Whites, as you saw before. Made our way through the pre-season with AFC Auckland, but the bug hit, so we are going to be leaving and going to be making our way to a New Zealand National League team. So now it's time for us to resign here from AFC Auckland. I will say, if the bug gets fixed, we can definitely come back here and see if they do need a rebuild. We'll resign here and see what Daniel has to say. I think that we are going to be leaving unless they can give me any reason to stay. New contract. I need more registration spots than Daniel. I know it's not your fault, but we're going to have to leave so I can continue the save, because honestly, there's some pretty good promising players in the All Whites. I do want to continue to keep an eye on some of those are the players that we have grown so far at AFC Auckland. So we have now resigned from our role at AFC Auckland, which is a bit of a bummer, as I said, a little bit PO'd about it. Cheers FM and the winter update. Also leaving is the head of youth development, and Carlos Rinaldi. Maybe we can bring him with us to the National League. Probably not his attributes, probably a bit too good for semi-professional football. That's one thing worth mentioning. I'm pretty sure all the clubs in the New Zealand National League, I'll just check because Auckland City might be an exception. And indeed, Auckland City are in fact a professional club, one of the few down here in the New Zealand National League where that is the case, no doubt, because they often make the FIFA Club World Cup. They can spend a bit more money than the other clubs down here, even though recently they haven't actually been doing that well. But most clubs down here are semi-professional. Even I think Wellington Olympic, that might be the case with those guys. Indeed it is, and they've actually won this National League the last couple of seasons of the safe to be fair. Auckland City, not quite as dominant as you would expect. A couple of teams from the Southern League have won it the last couple of seasons in Kashmir Tech and Christchurch United. But what we're going to do is see if a good job does pop up. The one thing worth mentioning for the New Zealand National League is it does run in between April and the end of the year. So it's a bit different in terms of timing to the A-League. So because of that, might have to wait a little while till we can find a job come the end of this current season. Also, it's split into 3 pools before we actually make the National League. So we'll see where we end up and then explain that a bit better, because each different league, they have different amount of qualifying spots. The Southern League have less than the Central League, and the Northern League, they have more than the Central League as well. So it's a bit of an interesting situation with the National League, a lot more different to when I did the Hexagon Challenge on the channel a couple of years ago with Hamilton Wanderers, and before then with Caversham down in Dunedin. But we'll see where we end up and explain the whole situation with how this works, as well as qualification for the OFC Champions League when we come back at the start of next week with a job. I did say I'd come back and do a job hunt episode, but considering we've won the A-League 3 seasons in a row, I'll probably get the first job I apply for, I dare say. So I don't think that job hunt episode would last too long. So we'll come back at the start of next week and hopefully unveil our new club for this Build a Nation save. Bit of a bummer, as I said. I'm a bit annoyed about it, but can't do much. It's a bug in the game. yeah, a little bit of a shame because I was enjoying my time there at AFC Auckland, even though we were starting to get a bit of a dynasty going in the A-League, but hopefully might be able to make our way back there in the future or build up a club here that might build up the National League a bit more of New Zealand, and that might help that league actually grow, seeing as they can compete in competitions like the FIFA Club World Cup compared to Auckland and Wellington, who can't do that while they are playing over in the A-League. But that will be it for today's episode. As I said, bit of bad news, unfortunately. We are going to have to leave AFC Auckland and find a job somewhere here in the National League, albeit I won't take over one of the big guns. The big guns I'd consider to be those teams up there that have won the competition in the past couple of years. So hopefully you're looking forward to a slightly new chapter of this save. Come the start of next week, we'll dig into some semi-professional football and see how we do down in the New Zealand National League, and if we can hopefully qualify for the AFC Champions League in a couple of seasons' time. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.